So welcome everybody to episode number 2 of the Fulfilled Veteran podcast. Today, Brett Davis is joining me, and I'll let him introduce himself here in just a little bit. But as you know, I self-sponsor so that I can say the shit that I want to directly to you guys without worrying about somebody wanting or not wanting to pay me. Who gives a shit? So I'm here to help you guys out, veterans and those that are in transition, those who have transitioned, whether you're still in you're no matter what you're doing, I know you've got something else that you want to do, and that's your passion project. Brett and I were talking behind the scenes about Black Rifle Coffee, so I'm sure we'll talk about that too. That us veterans, we're so service mindset and we're silent professionals that sometimes doesn't do us well individually. And that's what Brett and I are here to talk about, is some of our own stories, and then also be able to motivate you and give you guidance on how to get out there and get your own thing going too, because you've earned it. Let's move your service forwards. We know you want to do more things. And so just let me tell you a couple things that about me. So I have a book deal right now that's going on with a publisher is publishing my book series. And we're starting off with the first $5 to give for veterans. Let me give you a couple of the F words that we've got in there. One of them is fast. You have to move fast. So that's why I do what I do. I'm sure that's why Brett does what he does. We're trying to help you guys get to where you want to be quickly. And you guys know this, that in the service, we no kidding, shoot, move, and communicate. We sleep next to each other. We do all kinds of shit. And then you get out and you're completely alone. Is what you feel like. And Brett and I know this. We're going to tell you some stories about that ourselves. And we're going to tell you how to hopefully not get down into that ditch. We're going to help get you out of that faster, or completely go bypass it and get you out there doing other things. So some things that I help deliver to my clients. I'm the owner of the Fulfilled Veteran Project. And although I do multiple things, I've delivered over $10 billion. Yes, $10 billion in less than 5 years to over 3,000 veteran clients of mine. I work mostly with special operators. So if that's why you haven't heard of me, maybe that's why. I work with tier 1, tier 2 guys all the time. I talked to a guy over in Germany this morning that's a client of mine. And so just want to let you know. But every veteran out there is worth between $3 and $5 million in your lifetime that you don't know about. And I help you through that process with your VA disability stuff, so I can help you out with that. But that's not the only thing that I do. I've done that for the past 5 years. And I'm also a coach too. So I'm a veteran money strategist. I'm a veteran coach. Because what I found is, in order for folks to feel fulfilled, a lot of other F's have to happen. You have to focus. You have to help with your family and your fitness, be right for yourself, then others. And you have to unfuck your own mindset, get out of your own head and start moving forward. So I can help coach you through all that. And one of my main goals that we'll talk about today is I want to help veterans get to not only their first $1 million in a business that they're running or trying to run, but also want to get them to their first $1 million in their own bank account. You talk about life-changing, holy fucking shit. Imagine having $1 million in a business that you're helping creating, getting your passion out there in front of other people. You're creating jobs for yourself and others, and you're loving it, by the way, which is awesome. And then you get to a point where you have $1 million in your own bank account. Sounds pretty fucking good, right? So that's what Brett and I are here to chat about today. So make sure you like, share, subscribe. We're here on YouTube in multiple places. We're on Rumble in multiple places. The two main ways that people come to me as clients is main word of mouth. So maybe Brett sends somebody my way, and people trust Brett so much they go, "Man, Brett, tell me about you, Albert. I'm on your calendar. Let's do fucking business." The second way is through the social medias, that maybe they know Brett so well, and Brett posted something that they didn't even reach to Brett. They just said, "Hey man, Albert, I know Brett from back in the day. Love the dude. If he says yes, fuck yeah, let's do this." So those are my two ways that I get clients. I've got over 3,000 clients. So just want to let you know, please like, share, subscribe. You guys are worth a lot of money. I'm here to help you. If you don't know me, I'm working on it. So now you do. But so we got some book stuff coming out. We got the website, thefulfilledveteranproject.com. So go there if you want to learn more about me. I'm on LinkedIn mostly, but we are getting out there on social media and other places. But LinkedIn's has been my bread and butter over the past several years, but getting out on other stuff too, Rumble, other things. So just follow me. You don't have to like me right away, but you will someday soon. Brett, let me turn it over to you, brother. So I don't know much about Brett. I like to learn about people on our first chat. So Tell me just the first 2-3 minutes maybe of what you did in the service and what you're doing now. Give us the high level, and then we'll get into some
Sure.
weeds. And
I
by the way,
spent about cheers. I spent about 12 years in the Army. I went did MOS hop in. I started as a 91 Mike nutritional care specialist, became a truck driver, and then finally for the last 5 years I was a forward observer. So I was doing a lot of the shoot, move, and communicate. And uh, the thing that I got the most out of that was that to to be successful in the military, you had to be able to pivot quickly and be able to solve the problem before it became a problem. So that there was a lot of value in that. Then I got hurt and got out of the military at 12 years, which wasn't the plan, and so I had to pivot. And I started getting into IT stuff, and my military mindset of just always being ready to take on the next opportunity, being able to jump into the next task and diving into it because there's never enough information in the moment, and you have to dive in and you have to look for that information and find it and put it together and then fix things. um, that has helped me go from, when I got out of the military, my first job I was making $65,000 a year, and now I'm making 135,000 in less than 5 years later. And I got a GED when I was in high school, and I have almost no college. I've got a few classes, but I haven't graduated college. I've used the what I learned in the military to get me to where I am without college, without high school, just by getting the right certifications at the right time and being open to opportunities when they come up.
that's amazing too. And do you now own your own shingle, or are you still working for somebody else too?
I have two different businesses I'm an owner of. I have a photography business because I'm also a photographer. That I It's an LLC that I use for all my photography stuff. And then I also run a business called Big Blue Savannah, which is an event marketing company. So we host small concerts for people, and try to get as many customers as we can, and build the music community in Savannah, Georgia, to become bigger and better than what it is, and more connected than what it is.
Oh, that's nice. Really cool. We'll talk deeper about that too.
Sure.
So I appreciate the high level thus far. So tell me a little bit about your transition. I love that you said that you got out after 12 years and that was not the plan. I have to say that every single day to my clients. I host one-on-one meetings and then we do, I call them baseball batting practices multiple days a week. And how many times do we have to say that to ourselves and others? That I know it's not the plan. I didn't plan on, like Brett talked about, he's where he is without or with minimal college, if you will. And that may not have been his plan. Maybe he thought that he had to, right? That the civilian world had to make him do that. And I was somewhat the opposite. I just kept getting more and more educated because that's what the government needed and what the civilian world wanted. Because if I can say this quite plainly, and I think Brett will agree, that those of us veterans, because I served 10 years over a 16-year period, had a 6-year break. I was infantry first enlisted, then went officer, got picked up for medevac, flew a lot of missions over in Afghanistan. So, but when I got out at my quote 10-year mark, I don't want to say that was a plan either. I mean, I was like, I could move forwards and do more and have different opportunities. But I think a lot of us from the GWAT era were one, either fucking overworked and underappreciated. And then you go, man, fuck this shit. So most people that I chat with, W5s and O6s and stuff like that, the high ranking people, they say, Albert, I wish I would have done what guys like you and Brett have done. Get out around the 10-year mark, because you're not going to gain any more valued experience after about 10 years. That's going to translate in the civilian world. Now, maybe if you're in something, maybe in nursing or doctor or something else is very, very specific. But if you have passions for doing something else, just take your fucking ball and go home. It's not going to get any better. And I'm just telling you, those are stories that W5s from 160th and, colonels and shit like that tell me is, Albert, I wish I would have done what you did. Just fucking cut bait at about a 10-year mark. you got all the fucking experience you're going to get as combat or combat leader, or even not even fucking combat. It doesn't have to be combat, but you get my point. Like you get, as I call it with business or anything in life, call it a life cycle. So it's like a bell curve. So if you know what a bell curve looks like, it looks like a bell. And, and I'm sure you see that very well. But when you go in to do something, you go in with, oh, I want to be a ranger and a green beret and a marsoc and all that kind of stuff. And then you get in and Uncle Sam goes, well, that's not my plan for you. And then you start doing something else and you start growing. And most of us go through the usual of you go through the basics and get into some line work and then you get into maybe some combat and then you go back to the schoolhouse and then you go back and somewhat start doing that circle over and over again, right? But comes a point where you start getting on the other side of that bell curve and you start coming down. And once you start coming down, fucking get out. That is your time to severely look in the mirror. And all of us have done this to where I'm not going to take on this job, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. Nobody. One thing I want you to know: nobody gets paid what their value is. Nobody. If you show me one person, I will tell you you're fucking lying to me, because no human being on earth gets paid their value. You are making money for someone else. That's why people have clients. I have to help Brett and 3,000 other people just to help Brett. I don't get to charge Brett $3 million because I make him $3 million. That's not fair. Yep. That's not life. So anybody that works for you, you have to, like I tell my staff, a basic math in business is every staffer should, just easy math, make you 5 times what you're paying them. That's what it should be. If it's not, that's a problem. So, and we'll talk about some other things, but like once you get to a certain level of experience within anything in the military or whatever, or once you find another passion, and by the way, you can have other bell curves stacked on top of each other. That's what the military doesn't want you to know, but yes, you can. So I was talking to Brett before we got on camera about the reservists and guard and stuff like that, to where you guys have both sides of the fence, that you're maybe a lawyer on the outside and whatever, truck driver on the inside, which is weird sounding, but some people do weird shit like that because they just get into a groove and they say, hey, this is just fun money, which is what you should do. You should, in essence, use somebody else's money, whether I don't want to call it student loan money, but I've got 2 master's degrees and a shitload of student loan debt that was wiped off my record by being 100% permanent total. If you don't know about that program, talk to me. I'll show you what it is. But I was in college because that's what the civilian world wanted. Now, people like Brett who are in IT, they don't want college. They want, I'm going to revert back to a podcast I did a couple of weeks ago, 2 guys that were doing IT. We talked a lot about this, that IT does not require long-term, head down 4-year degrees. It's pretty short, fast. And what I bet Brett's going to expand on more is they want you to be a thinker and a doer. Be a good teammate. Be a good leader. Think through a problem. A lot of people in IT, they get a bad rap because they do such a good job of doing something that you walk into their office and they're playing video games or they're on YouTube, and you're like, what the fuck, man? What are you doing? Well, I already did my work for the day. And everybody else in the business is like, no, you got to be here. I always hate people like this. You got to be here until 5:30. I hate people like that. You have to be here in time to make us all look better. Motherfucker, it's the standard. It is too standard. So that's what IT world likes. And that's what the civilian world likes. So just want to reiterate that. So don't do whatever the hell you want to. I'm not going to speak too much about faith, but I believe in Jesus. And so Jesus says, do this thing, Albert, then I'm going to fucking do that thing. And I just, every night I have to say, all right, I'm in your hands. Use me as a tool. Help me help other veterans out there. Help me make this bigger, because there's a lot more veterans out there now than there were 5 or 10 years ago because of post-COVID, post-GWAT era. So help me help. And that's why I'm here. So he's given me the strength to be here to tell you whatever is inside of you needs to come out. It's there for a purpose. So get it out on paper, and Brett and I are going to help you out with that. Brett, what do you think about what I've said?
I think just to expand on one point to that is that I think the reason that most veterans don't get out after 10 years is they're sold this lie that you're halfway there and you're going to get your retirement at 20 years. But the amount of money that you're losing in that 10 years of staying in is 10 times the amount of money that you're capable of making in that amount of time, and setting yourself up for the future in a way that's more honest to who you are.
Mhm.
But there's like a fear there. I know I was scared shitless when I was getting out, because the plan was, oh, I'm going to do 20 years, and then I'll do something, but I'll have this thing to fall back on, so I don't ever have to worry about money again after that. And I that didn't happen. And so now I had to fall back on the leadership skills that I learned, the just go get it done attitude that I learned in the military, to just bust my ass and get shit done, because that's ultimately, especially in IT, that's what they're looking for. They want somebody who says, here's this problem that we have. I don't have a ton of information on it, but like, here it is. Do what you can. And then you dig into it and you find, oh shit, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And you just search it out. And you end up doing is you're compounding your skills, getting to the top of that bell curve too, so that you now become a person that's highly valued in whatever organization you're in, or you're learning skills that you can go and take it to your own organization eventually. And any good company will recognize those skills and pay you handsomely for it, and you'll continue growing in that company. But don't be scared to just move on if you need to. And I think, especially with people my age, like as a mid millennial individual, we we were sold that we had to like stay with a company for years and years and years. And if you look at what Gen Z's doing, they're hopping every 2 to 3 years, and they're making more and more money, and we're still struggling to buy houses. So we have to look at what people are doing right and move in that direction too. And we can sit here and we can belay and be mad that companies are just doing what companies do, or we can take advantage of it and make it work for us and work within the system to get what you need out of it.
No, I fully agree with that. And that's why we're having this podcast too, to give veterans the confidence to move forwards. I mean, how many
Yeah.
times once you get to that discomfort, because I'll give you my Ranger example. I've got a client who's a Ranger, and he was, let's say, an E6 in the Rangers, and he gets out and he's working for Amazon, and Amazon offers him 6 figures. Well, that sounds terrific for his bank account, but then he gets into it, and then the first few months, he's like, "Oh, honey, look at the bank account. Holy shit, man! I mean, we've been through all this crap as eating dog shit for years as a Ranger, and E6 probably making whatever 30, 40K a year or some shit like that, and and then holy crap, we got 6 figures in the bank account, but then after a while, it just becomes the same fucking shit every single day, and the money's not working. You end up buying more shit, and the shit doesn't make you happier, and then you're because what's inside of you isn't coming out. And a lot of you guys get stuck in that. Now, here's my recommendation. Yes, take on that other job. Yes, do like what Brett's doing. Have multiple income streams. The most rich people out there and the most enriched people out there will tell you the same fucking thing, that it's not just a job. If you're wanting to retire the old American way, that does not exist anymore. That does not exist anymore. Look at what happened. I feel so horrible for the people who, over the past just few short years, thought, well, hey, I've got $1 million in the bank and I can totally live off of that. Well, my wife and I, we live in this neighborhood in Indianapolis area, where we drove past some new construction the other day on houses. And somehow we noticed this. We said, on the houses, they used to put, come in and see us. This is houses starting at whatever, 200,000 or 400,000, whatever it is. And they stopped putting those signs on there because the market is so fucking weird right now. And nobody knows what it's going to be and what it's going to be a year from now or whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like nobody's putting, real estate people are, I'm not seeing it here in Indy, not putting those numbers out there anymore. So you people who thought that you're going to retire off $1 million and just everything was going to be hunky dory and RV to and fro across the states. Well, now gas prices like balls, interest rates are ripping your asshole out and putting it over your head. it's a fucking hard living, and that's why a lot of my clients come to me going, man, I'm a doctor or I'm a lawyer or I'm a judge, I'm a pilot, and I'm a professional, but man, this fucking sucks. So how can I get multiple income streams and feel, but honestly feel better about life? Like I've been
Hmm.
doing this, what I'm doing now, I've been doing it 5 years, and I get to go to bed every night. The only heartburn that I have is that I know there's more veterans out there that I'm trying to help. And that's why I'm now doing more and more online and doing more and more with technology to be able, so you can find me and so that I can find you and I can get that money in your pocket. So that check that's over my left shoulder back here, by the way, says that every veteran out there is worth $3 to $5 million in your lifetime. So you definitely need to know who I am so I can get that in your pocket. Because like Brett said, uh, a lot of us got to a point where we thought, okay, we'll do the 20, and then you get this other stipend and all this other kind of benefits, as the government would call it. Benefits means money. Well, what the government doesn't tell you is that you can actually get some pretty awesome fucking benefits anytime that you get out. And I'm talking even
Hmm.
months. I've got clients who did 3 months in service. I've got clients who did 30 years in service. Guess what they all qualify for? That same fucking check that's over my shoulder, $3 to $5 million in their lifetime, that puts them in control of their own life. So I'll give you an example. I'm 100% permanent total, not retired, and I get $5,000 a month tax free. So that's $60,000 a year tax free. So if I was buying a house or a car or something, the most of the times the banks would look at that going, okay, tax free. So this guy's probably getting paid what would be probably around 70, 80 or $90,000 a month, or I'm sorry, a year, and that's just one thing. Now I get paid the same. The VA calls it disability. I don't call it that. It's the money you've earned through your service. The VA is the one that
Hmm.
hides it behind disability ratings. But there's all this other money out there for you too, like college money, money for your kids in college, property taxes, all this stuff. So like you could say I can save you $500,000 in your lifetime on property taxes if you're in Texas, California, Florida, even Nebraska, just to name a few. So that's insane. What can you do with that
Hmm.
money? Put it into your own fucking life and live your life. Why live 5, 10, 15 more years under Uncle Sam's boot? And as what happens to all of us, that when you get out, the big green machine keeps on rolling. And then that's why I've got the new book series starting out with the first $5, because I want to make sure that you guys know this stuff fast, that you have to take care of yourself. The TAPS courses, or whatever the hell they're calling it now, the transition courses that are ran by the government, they are ran by the government, which means they suck donkey balls and they don't do anything. Every client of mine, over 3,000 clients and over tens of thousands of people that I've ever talked to, ever, they say the same thing. The transition was so fast, and big military didn't give two fucks about me. Now I'm out, and now I don't know what to do. Now I wish I would have known these things before. So that's why Brett and I are here to tell you, have a plan. Make it your own plan. I'm not saying be selfish, but be self aware. Everybody has to do it. You're a human. So you have to have your work tribe, but then you also need to take care of your family tribe and take care of your future. So if you don't need master's degrees, don't fucking get them. If you only need certificates, go ahead and get them. They're not that hard. I've got so many of them and make your fucking head spin, because that's what I thought that hospitals needed. But then I couldn't even get a job in a fucking hospital, because as a former medevac combat pilot, by the way, with 268 missions, combat missions, and 350 patients that I cleaned up off the battlefields, I didn't have enough fucking clinical hours to work in a hospital, is what I was told.
Hmm.
So the civilian world does not give a shit about what you did in the service.
Nope.
And see Brett's head moving. Go tell me a story about that. What
They
what
don't.
about from your perspective? What does the civilian world not give a shit about Brett?
Honestly, they did like I if I didn't tell people I was a veteran, they wouldn't know. They because it doesn't make any difference. I am who I am. And yeah, I've got this experience and I've got these things that I value in myself and I know where they go. But like ultimately, that doesn't translate to the civilian world because leadership is different in the civilian world. Management is different in the civilian world. If you can't find a way to relate what you do to the bottom line, companies don't give a shit. And so, and I don't know anything about the medical side, but there's like stringent requirements in the medical side, much more than there ever is in the military, which is why we get such worse care when we were in the military. But luckily, I've been working with mostly ex-military veterans since I got out. So like those, my leadership skills translate in that way, and they recognize it better. But that's because they're better leaders because they were in the military. That isn't it. The people that haven't been in the military, they just don't care. If you're not making the company money, they don't need you. And so it's really easy to just get dropped like that. And then you're out there floundering because you don't have another plan set up to take care of what's going on in the meantime. I like and they're gonna be cutthroat about it. They won't tell you why. They're just gonna drop you and then you'll never know why. And my previous job to the one I got now, I ended last June, and I found out the day I was on a contract to hire position for the Missile Defense Agency through Leidos, and the day that my contract was supposed to switch over from contract to full-time employee, they're like, "Oh, cancel the contract. We don't need him anymore, and you're done." And so I get zero notice, and now I'm out looking for a job again because a company just decided they didn't need me. And so it doesn't matter what I did in the military. It doesn't matter what I did for the company. Even it like your past experience doesn't translate to prior opportunities. You can only keep your eyes open for the opportunities that are there, and never rely on the opportunity you're in to stay there.
So tell me your story. What inspired you to wear multiple hats? What happened?
Um, so I'm a big part of the music community in Savannah, Georgia. I play bass. I've been in bands. And a lot of my friends are within the music community there. And one of the problems that we were having was that we couldn't find there weren't places for us to play. As playing original music in this town, there just weren't businesses that are interested in booking bands that are playing original music. If you weren't playing covers and for the tourists that come to Savannah, you're just out there flapping. And so what we decided to do is like, well, like let's create that thing so that we have a place to play. And then we started doing that. And you can't, that's not sustainable for a single band to play the same set every night. So we started inviting other bands to play with us. And then eventually it got to a point where it's like now we've got hundreds of bands that are in this queue that want to play with us. And hundreds of people come to these shows, and that we were getting between 4 to 8 per month. At like hundreds of people coming to see the shows that I had to learn how to run sound. I had to learn how to run lights. I had to learn how to do all this stuff in order to make it work. But our customers enjoy it. The bands enjoy it, and they want to come back, and they're begging to come back because they get paid to play here, where most bands aren't getting paid to play their own music. And so it went from this thing that we just wanted to see for ourselves, and we created it in the community, and then it just sort of started snowballing and getting bigger and bigger until now it's self-sustaining and just doing its thing. And I I'm not even I don't even have to be that involved anymore because we've hired people to do the background stuff so that I can focus on photography, focus on making music videos, focus on other ventures that I'm trying to do.
Well, tell me more about that too. So what and your tell me a timeline on when this first started happening to where you are now. How long did that take you?
We started in January of 22, right at the end of COVID, is when we first started throwing shows. We were doing that for about 7 months, and then we partnered with another person who was doing something similar, but because our skills were translating in ways that hers weren't, and vice versa. So we partnered together. She was doing the marketing and the social media, and we were doing the production and the bookings, and and then that's gone until now. So we're up to about 2 years of running this and making it happen.
Isn't that crazy? Like something happens so quickly, right? Like it's when
Yeah.
you have the right experience and talent and awareness and the right kind of grit. Grit can be bad, but grit can be good.
Hmm.
So when you have the right kind of grit and you just go, all right, I want to do that. And like Brett will say too, you're gonna have to do some shit for free for a while to
Oh
prove
yeah.
yourself.
I still don't make any money on that. I still make
Yeah,
zero money on that because everything goes back into the business. It's
yeah.
there are things that aren't good enough yet that we want to be better. So we're throwing money into that to make it even better so that we can make it happen regularly and it's easier. Right now it's kind of hard because we have to move our equipment around to different locations and make it, but we're trying to get a location, so we're saving all our money to actually get our own building and become an actual venue. So
But I'm glad. So I lived in Savannah for a while, about 4 years, and my combat tour was during that. So, but I was telling Brett before we got on the press record on this that I was downtown Savannah, or they call it the historic district. It's been a while since I've been there, but I lived on one of the islands, and this is like, oh my god, 13, 14 years ago, some shit like that now. So it's been a hot minute, folks. But yeah, I was there from probably '08, '07, '08, somewhere around there to 4 years up to 12. And so back in the flip phone days, that's how we can all remember it. Was it flip phone or was it something new? And yeah, back in the flip phone days. And but man, I had a blast there. And I saw the same thing that Brett's talking about, that Savannah, it's so old school that it's really hard for businesses to get off the ground. I know a lot of, maybe it's still struggling from this, but 10, 15 years ago, they were struggling through. If a new restaurant had an idea, it took forever for the government getting in the way. And, I'll say the historical societies. I mean, people who care, but there's other people who get in the way. Like the government seems to always get in the fucking way. And that's why we're here to say that we want veterans to be the next Black Rifle Coffee, to be the next Grunt Style and Nine Line Apparel and stuff like that. But those are like the big three that people know about. I want Brett to be the next big thing. I want me to be the big thing. I want all of us to be the big thing because we fucking earned it more than most others. So we want to push that service forward. So, but it does take. And Brett's making me think of a guy. Ladies, make sure that we get Brett connected with Brian. I believe his last name is Schwartz or something like that. I know he's here in Indianapolis, but he is a Marine, and he now does like we call those the Ironmans and stuff like that, like triathlon stuff. The dude's a fucking beast, man. And he and I have known each other. I've lived here in Indianapolis for 11 years now, going on 12, something like that. And he and I have known each other the whole time I've been here. He does event stuff downtown. Uh, Here in Indianapolis, every New Year's Eve, they do, rather than a ball dropping, they do an Indianapolis Indy car drop. So it's Indy cars
okay.
hanging, just dangling like a fish out of water. And it's like they have a shark or some shit. And it's this fucking Indy car just dangling down, and they drop this car down. So it's pretty fucking cool. So,
Yeah.
but he's doing something very similar to you, that just like, hey, I've got a good idea. This is a small town. Everybody knows everybody. Let's shoot, move, communicate together to get things going faster. And he owns an event corporation downtown. He does other shit too. So, but we'll get you connected with him. Good dude.
That's part of what we're doing too, is like there are bars that want to book bands that are playing original music, but they don't know how. And we're quickly becoming experts on how to get them in spaces and do the production in a way that makes it easy for the bar, makes it easy for the bands, and then we get paid and we pay the bands. And so the business, all they have to worry about is, here's this fee, and we're going to put on a good show. It's going to be 2-3 hour show, and then you get to wipe your hands of it. You don't have to clean up. You don't have to do anything. And the businesses are finding that to be a really valuable resource, because normally businesses they have to go look for the bands. They have to pay the bands. They have to do all this stuff, and they're already running on a minimum amount of people that, they're bar managers or they're front of house managers, and they know really well how to make sure that silverware is set up and make sure that enough alcohol has been ordered or whatever, but they don't know how to do the communication with bands. They don't know how to do getting them paid very, very well. Whereas that's something that we've specialized in and gotten really good at. So we take that off their plates and we're hearing from those managers, hey, I'm happy to pay you more than I would normally do pay for this because we don't it takes hours of my life to do this that I don't have to do anymore. And they love
Well,
that.
that's what I tell my clients too. That so this is my prop here, but
Mhm.
this is a packet. Everything that you want to do in life is behind some kind of paperwork. So
Yep.
it's always going to be between where you are now and where you want to be, which is that big check back there.
Mhm.
Your fulfillment is always on the other side of some kind of packet. So it's nice that like what Brett and I are talking about is when you veterans, let me back it up. You veterans are so service mindset. You're so team oriented. You're so it's about the group and you know how to zoom in and zoom out on time. Brett will tell you from the IT world that is very valued, but it's also very rare. So it's like he said, if you're not making somebody money, they're going to fire you. And so you have to be a good team player. You have to know how to zoom in and zoom out. For those who know how to do that, you have a gift that is valuable, and you need to use that. Like I was in the military too. I started out being I was a E2 private when I came in. Got out as a senior captain, so I went and proved myself through different leadership and stuff like that. But people value if you're a problem solver, especially if you can solve a problem quick or solve it so far out in the future that there's no fucking problem. And that's what Brett's talking about right now. He's
Yeah.
people like you could go. I'm guessing, and that's a great problem to have, if you will, where you can go to a client of yours, Brett, and say, "Hey, man, I'll do this thing for you. It's not the time; it's the standard. So here's the standard that I'm bringing to you. So folks out there who are worrying about how much money you make per hour, you're in the wrong fucking mindset. You need to be job task oriented. Hey, phase one this, phase two that, or the complete construction of this or whatever. And here's what I offer you. That's going to save you on your time, because Brett will tell you this, and this is what I'm hearing from him. And I just want to make sure I'm saying it out loud to you guys, that there's always some kind of bureaucracy. There's always some kind of, well, I don't know about the taxes and I don't know about the toilets, right? I mean, anytime you have a band or in any kind of event, somebody has to have toilets, and I don't know about the insurance, because that's the big thing too. All the other small companies out there who want to have Brett there, they are going to start leaning back going, well, I'm afraid of the toilet people, and I'm afraid of the insurance people, and what this is going to cost me if the riffraff get out of fucking, what if they break my window? What happens? If Brett can come up to him with a full, complete fucking packet going, hey guys, from soup to fucking nuts here, I'll be able to help you and save you a shitload of time, effort, and energy, and it's going to cost you XYZ. And we can always grow on that later. Like, we can do this for now. 6 months from now, when we do this again, let's grow. Let's grow together. I guarantee you, everybody out there, small businesses, they want growth. The one word that I make sure that my clients know about, my staff know about: growth. Growth, growth, growth. So when you own, or when you work with someone, or when you work with somebody else, you always should just say, write down the word growth and let them say something from their perspective. They will go, oh my God, I want growth with this music thing. I want growth with this event thing. I want growth in my own back pocket. I want growth for my kids. And because we're humans, we are actually way more on pulling in, because a lot of us are trained by big corporations to think, oh, go work for somebody big and then you'll get a gold watch. No, you won't. That they get gold watches. They get golden parachutes. You don't. So in order to get your golden parachute, in order to make 6 figures a month or more for yourself and for your staff, which I'll tell you about my staff here shortly. I've got almost 10 staffers. So Brett will talk about that. But in order to make money for yourself and others, and be satisfied within yourself, you have to start small. Go work for a big company. Take that money, start focusing on your passion, even if it's starting in your garage or online. There's so many people out there who just do something small, and then it grows, and then they look back 10 years later and go, holy shit, now I'm the expert at this, and everybody is coming to me and I'm the expert. Yeah, you are. Brett's the expert at what he does. I'm the expert at what I do, and I'm not in his lane. He's not in my lane, because there's an ecosystem for a reason. And guys like Brett and I are realizing that and going, you know what? The reason why the middle class is gone is because the middle class allowed themselves to be annihilated by big corporations. Big corporations
And
have killed it.
and also you're the expert, I'm the expert, but also like I'm gonna rely on experts every step of the way.
Yep.
I'm not I'm sure I'll Google some stuff if I need to know it, but when it comes to the legal formation of a business, I went to a lawyer. If I need to figure out how to put new toilets in, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it myself. I'm going to a plumber because I can focus my efforts on the things that I'm good at that will make me more money. I don't have they already became experts in the thing that they did. They've already invested that time and effort that I don't need to waste on something.
Let
It
me
might
ask you,
cost
when
a
was
little
the
bit
first
more
time you made
money.
that decision? When was the first time you made that decision? Was it for somebody mowing your yard, raking your leaves, folding your clothes? Who was the first person you hired in your own, let's say, household to take over shit that you don't want to do so that you could focus on your shit?
Um, I think the first time was a plumber. Honestly, and it was while I was still in the military. It's like I could do this, but it ain't worth my effort. When you're in the military, you don't get much time. You up at 4 in the morning to be at PT by 5:30, and then you work until 5 at night, and then you get home and you want to cook dinner or spend time with the kids. Like I never had time. I was coaching soccer. I was doing all this stuff that I was getting fulfillment out of. Plumbing wasn't it.
But who's somebody that you've hired that who's the first person or entity that you hired, like a, let's say, housekeeper or somebody to mow your yard? What was the first entity that you hired to give yourself time?
I think the first one was probably a lawn maintenance.
So all
Yeah.
you people out there, all you veterans out there who are like, hey, I just want to go breathe free air like I used to, and there's too many of you do that. I think Brett's gonna start shaking his head too. Like, yeah, too many of us get out there and you start mowing your yard, and you kind of think it's your dad time, but then you realize, just like a commercial years ago, that this guy's riding a lawnmower around, and he's got this weird grin on his face, like he's in misery, but he's grinning because he's in the keeping up with the Joneses of, and he's like, I've got a 4,000 square foot house, and I've got these two Mercedes over here, and he's riding this John Deere around, and he's like, how do I do it? I'm up to debt in my eyeballs, up to my
Mhm.
eyeballs in debt. And like, that's what happens. Corporate America just sucks you in and just says, hey, keep up with the Joneses. Guys, look at Brett and I. What are we wearing? We're wearing our fucking our fucking PJs to make shit work. And I call it my armor. I'll put my armor on every day. But here's what's crazy about guys like Brett and me. I bet if I paid Brett $1 million, or if he somehow scratched off and he won $1 million, he'd be in the same uniform tomorrow, and tomorrow after that, and
Absolutely.
tomorrow after that. And 5 years from then, he's still there because he and I are the same, cut from the same fucking cloth. We're here because we are. It doesn't matter about the money. Abundance is abundance. Great, let's do it. And that's what we help offer ourselves and our clients and our families and our staff and our communities. And that's why we're here doing this. So appreciate that. So who's the first person that you actually hired as a staffer? Tell me about that story.
We don't have any staff actually. We have contractors that we work with. Probably the first one is photographer.
And that takes,
Um,
what does that take off your plate?
and it's $50. It's $50 for 3 hours. They take photos for 3 hours. They deliver 20 photos at the end of the usually a few days afterwards. And now we've got marketing material that we get to use going forward. So it's $50, and if we make $1,000 at a show, that's like 5%. So it's worth it. And then now we're starting to use sound people, and that's usually $100. So that's 10% of whatever revenue we have for that night. And it's worth it because it was too much stress to have to keep setting up and doing it ourselves. And if somebody wants to do it for $100, then they're welcome to do it, and they don't have to worry about the stress of making everything else happen that comes into play for what we do.
So you guys do more indoor or outdoor events, by the way.
Mostly indoor events. It's mostly indoor events. We started trying to do outdoor events, but in Southeast Georgia, as you know, because you live
So
there,
fucking humid, man.
the weather is you just can never depend on it, and so it
Yeah,
was creating too many problems. So we
yeah, and
find
too much gear, too much
too much
electricity.
gear,
Yeah,
way too much electricity to deal with that kind of stuff. And there's ways, right? There's solutions that have been created already, but we're not at the point yet where we can afford to just throw money at those solutions when the easier solution is do an indoor event and not have to worry about it.
So where do you see this in the next few short months, years for yourself, the music stuff?
In the next few, I think for this year, our goal is to get to $100,000 in revenue by the end of this year, and then next year try to double that. And the only way to increase revenue is to throw more shows. So that means either find more business clients who are willing to pay us to do it for them, or throw more shows where the customers are paying us directly to see these bands playing. There's some limitations on that in Savannah for sure, because it's a small city. So there's only so many events that people are going to be willing to go to all the time. And so one of our way forward is going to be business side. The business to business is definitely going to make us more money. It's more regular money. We don't have to guess how many people that we think are going to come to a show. So it removes a lot of the what ifs and the risk of doing the events. So business to business, that's where our major focus is right now, and that comes to selling to bar managers our services and fitting within their budget, and then finding the musicians for them that fits what they want out of it too. So I think that's where our growth is going to happen the most. And then eventually, I think a 5 to 10 year range, we'd like to be an independent record label where we're starting to help musicians within the community actually produce records and music and help market them in more effective ways, because musicians just are generally scattered-brained creatives who like really love this thing that they're making but have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah, that's what's nice. Like, I work with veterans, so there's always going to be more veterans. There's always going to be more warriors who serve. And so I know that that's a replenishing resource. Same thing with musicians. Somebody always wants music. Somebody always wants music. Definitely. That's, if there's just nothing but a stick on the ground, somebody's going to pick it up and start whacking on something with it, right? So, so you've got a good niche. Who's going to be your first hire? What do you think is going to, when you have a staffer, what's that going to be like? Front office, back office? What do you think?
I think that our first staffer will be someone who handles the accounting and keeping up with the back end of the business that takes so much of my time, because that's the thing that I've specialized in. Once we got the business up and running, I do sound, but most of my time is spent receipts and expenses and keeping track of all that stuff. And I've got a full-time job. I don't want to continue doing that. So I think our first real hire will be someone who does their whole job is accounting.
Yeah, the bookkeeping stuff. Yeah. That's obviously so important. And just, I've got that. So I'll tell you about my staffers. So I use a visual here. So I am an eagle up flying. My staffers, my managers, 4 or 5 or 6 of them that I've got that are on the mountaintops, and they can keep an eye on me and I can keep an eye on them. But then I've got my bookkeeper and HR. So she's down in the valley. So she can cover our 6 and make sure that all of those weeds are being covered at the right time. But that allows me to be up in the sky,
up in the clouds.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's where you have to be. You have to be up there, because I'm the only Albert. Brett's the only Brett. You guys out there, you're the only you. I'm telling you, nobody else can be you. So don't think that, well, you know, Brett's starting his music scene. Well, no, I can't get in the music scene in wherever. The fuck you can't. Because, I mean, I think anybody would tell you that I may be good or great at one thing, but somebody else can come in tomorrow and I don't say beat me, but they're not going to get in the way of who I work with. Like, I work with tier 1, tier 2 people. I may have fewer clients, but I'm probably making more money and I've got less stress. Somebody else could say, hey, I want to take on all the tier 3 people out there, just the normal Joe averages. And there's a lot of them. Go get them. Go get them. Go do your thing. Like, that's help more veterans. Great. Get more people out in the music industry because the music industry is fucking dog shit too. I mean, big corporate, man, is just nothing but, let's say, good and evil, fucking evil. nothing but fucking evil, and it's showing up a lot more these days. So I think
Yeah.
Brett's doing something. I think most of us veterans who and I'm going to say service members because we want to keep that service moving forwards. Most of us service members see something, but we're too we're not talking to our good buddies enough. So make sure you're talking to your good buddies. Don't talk to a buddy. Let me tell you, folks, you're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family members because you're going to outgrow them and you're going to outpace them. So no matter what you did in the military, it doesn't matter. You're not the black sheep in the family. You're probably a black wolf in the family. You're going to do way more than anybody else ever. You're going to show up, whether you were getting paid $1 million today or $1 million 10 years from now. You're going to fucking show up. And everybody else is going to be pulling at your fucking strings and going, oh man, well, you need to spend more time over here with me doing dumb shit. Let's go skateboarding. And you're like, motherfucker, I'm 40 years old. I don't skateboard. I did 20 years ago. I don't need to skateboard. I don't need to do that. Like every now and then, sure, give yourself a little bit of a break. But this thing never shuts off. This thing never shuts off. It doesn't matter what money is in my wallet or what's in Brett's wallet. We're going to be here tomorrow after that. That is a fucking guarantee. So please listen to us when we say it that way. But the reason why we're talking about
and for God's sake, show the fuck up.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that stops anybody is they just don't show up. I've seen it over and over. Veterans, not veterans, just people like, oh, there's this really great opportunity, and somehow you were the only person that showed up, and so you're the person that gets the job. And be the person that shows up. It's not it that and show up with a good attitude and show up with the willingness to like seek out solutions to things. It'll get you everywhere in life. It'll get you absolutely everywhere.
Yep. I fully guarantee that too. And that's what I was going to say too. Two things I want to say are M's. Mentors. So Brett and I are mentoring you right now by telling you stuff, but also we're showing you models. Very important. So like we're showing you the roadmap. Here's do's, here's don'ts. And those are just huge, man. That's something that we did in the military. And I like that in the military, we would help somebody crawl, walk, run, and fly. And once we got up the food chain, we were able to help somebody behind of us to backfill because that's just who we are. And so we're happy to help you. We're glad to help you. But like Brett said, you have to show up because no matter what you did for years or what you did last month, if you're not doing it tomorrow, you're fucking done. I let people go. You have to hire fast and fire fast. That's what I tell Brett. If you haven't worked with staff yet that you're actually paying, I'm telling Brett and I'm telling everybody out there, my life really changed when I had staff. Not when I had somebody mowing my yard. That's just a thing. That gave me a little bit more of my time back. But when I had staff, that's when shit got real. And by the way, guys, I've got 5 kids, and I have I'm remarried and I've got a ex-wife in Texas, and I've got a daughter that still lives in Texas with her mom, and my oldest son lives with me now. But we're the I don't call it the party house, but we're the fun house. So there's like always somebody over here and kids and all this kind of stuff, and there's a lot going on. But my point back to that is I didn't care about money until I had staff. My staff all have kids too.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you, one of the greatest glees in my life. I'm pretty my HR lady and bookkeeper. She's like, Albert, you're too nice with your money sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm too nice with my money because I'm like, oh, let me give not a bonus, but that falls under it's commission. You worked hard. Here's some more money. Those sorts of things. You shine this month. Here, let me give you some more. And I like that. I like that I get to treat my team well, but at the same time, we're so small. I say this in both good and bad ways. You can't fucking hide from me. You're my staff. I know where you are, and I know what you're doing, and I know what you're not doing. And it shows in my bank account. And so I can say 3 things. Small businesses are about sales, marketing, and management. Brett right now is doing a lot of all 3, but he'll get to a point where he is the guy that only does sales. He's got signing contracts, put money in the bank. That's it. He's going to have managers who manage shit, and then he's going to have marketing teams who help market shit. And we'll talk deeper about that if we need to. But I didn't care about money until I had staff. Now I've got almost 10 staffers. Every one of my staff has, almost all of them have kids, and multiple kids at that. And that's what makes me hire fast and fire even faster too. If somebody comes in and briefs well, and I'm like, fuck man, sounds awesome. Let's get you started today. And they say, yep. And then 3 days later, they're just shitting the bed on my trackers. And I call them my 10-foot test from 10 feet away. Where's my PAMI tracker? Where's my calendar? Is everybody happy in the manager or staff and all that kind of stuff? So if those things aren't check yes, check yes, check yes from 10 feet away, I got to let you go so fucking fast. So I highly suggest that to Brett and others out there who are listening to this. When you start hiring people, try not to hire somebody who's close to you, that's your next door neighbor and your friend, because they most likely are not going to turn out. They're not going to work for you they're not going to help you through what you want. And most likely they're going to treat you like, this is a fun money. Oh, what Brett's doing is fun money for me. And in Brett's mind, no, it isn't. Right.
No.
So Brett's mind, he's like, dude, this is fucking legit. I'm going to make good, amazing things happen. And if somebody else comes in and starts being, that's why I said grit is good and grit is bad. If you allow, there's a line out there that says, how's this go? What you allow, you invite, sort of thing. So if you lower your standard, everybody else is going to see that. So you have to be able to go, hey man, I have amazingly high standards. At any point in time, have the freedom to tell me that you can't do it. It's just like buds for seals. Ring out whenever. Feel free to ring out, and don't even fucking explain it to me. Just like Brent said a couple minutes ago, he said the big corporations, they'll ring you out for you and not even explain it to you because they're so big that they don't give a fuck. They got to worry about big bucks, millions and trillions of dollars. They don't give a shit about you. So I'm not saying this to be selfish, but you have to be self-aware. You're worth millions of dollars. There's going to be negative people in your life that you're related to that are your current friends. You're going to outgrow them. Keep moving forwards in a good way. And that's what Brett and I are here to do, is help give you some mentorship and some different models of like, hey, here's some roadmaps that we've done. And here's some negative things that are going to happen. Life is going to happen. You're going to have bad stuff. You're going to have a bad relationship go awry. Somebody's going to sue you someday. If you're making $10 million, somebody's going to sue you for probably $100 million. If you're making $100 million, somebody's going to sue you for whatever. Look at Donald Trump right now. They're trying to take $500 million out of his ass. If you're big enough to be sought after, keep in mind of this, folks. Going back to religion for a little bit. The closer you are to God, the more the devil shows up. Be prepared for that. Prepare your staff for that. Prepare your own household for that. Prepare your own heart for that. Because troubles are going to hit in the bank. Troubles are going to hit in personnel. And not everything's going to run fucking smooth. So, but what you can do, the best way of having things run smoothly is have people like me and Brett in your corner, able to give you some guidance on like, hey, here's how I got to where I am. Here's from my experience, my wisdom. Here's how I can help you through this. So make sure you're shooting, moving, and communicating with other people who've been there. And don't just have people below you, have people above you. I pay people a lot of money above me to mentor me because I want to be where they are. And I don't want to be, like Brett will talk about too with the music scene, I don't want to be LA big because LA is dog shit now. I want to be big where I am. And big means smaller clients, more money, less stress. Because I get to go to bed every night pretty fucking stress-free, other than I want to help more veterans. But I only want to work with the best veterans out there, and that means a lot. Best to me means something. And I'm sure Brett wants to work with great bands that give him as least of grief as possible, and with the weather gods, and with the local community and all that kind of stuff. And I think that Brett's off to a great start, and I'm excited for you, man. So sorry to eat up some time, but I just wanted to
you're good.
Be positive. But that's super cool. So what else is going on? So you talk about photography a lot too. So and before we talk about photography, anything else on the band stuff that I didn't talk about, but you want to bring out in front of everybody?
No, I think that all that was covered pretty fully.
So you're talking
I think if you want to see what we're doing, if you're in Savannah and you want to see what we're doing, you can go to bigbluesav.com, and that'll take you to our Instagram, and that's where we put out all of our events, and you'll know everything that's going on
And we
if you
will
follow
have,
us there.
just for Brett and everybody, we will have Brett's info in the comments below and in the description below. So make sure, my staff and I will make sure that gets done. So
Mhm.
awesome stuff. Say that again, though, since you were saying it. You said Big Blue.
It's bigbluesav.com, and it'll take you to Instagram. You can
Yeah.
follow all of our events and get to see small local bands that deserve a bigger audience.
When I was in Savannah, now this is mostly out on, what is it, Tybee Island or something, right? That's the furthest island.
Mhm.
It's been a while. So there's a band, I can't remember their name, but man, they would go all up and down the East Coast. And again, this was like 15 years ago. But guitarist, you probably know him still, guitarist who has like freaking red hair and dreadlocks, and just these guys were playing small uh, groups. It's like out there on the island, small locations, but playing like they were playing in fucking stadiums, man. Like they rocked the fucking house, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of them, but oh my god, they were so
Is it
fucking
Zulu Prophet?
that doesn't sound familiar, but it's been a hot minute.
Okay.
But god damn, man, they were fucking good, man. Just I mean, the way that they would move, and they were craftsmen. They worked well on their craft, and not everybody loves the music I love. Who gives a shit? But like, fuck, man, that was awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, they definitely played like they were fucking playing to a giant ass stadium, and it was only like up 2 or 3 rows of us in a small bar.
And like there's shows where we've got 15 people show up, right? And then we've got these bands that are coming in and they're throwing down like they're playing to 10,000 people either way. Because it doesn't ultimately musicians are playing for themselves, right? Like ultimately, like you've got this thing that you created that you just want to play and you want to have the opportunity to play it. And if you have people to play it to, great. But like 90% of musicians playing is for themselves and for their bandmates and just like honing their craft. So play like you're gonna play to 100,000 people every single time, because you're really only helping yourself at that point. It doesn't matter about the crowd. It doesn't matter who listens. It's like if you feel the best that you've done your best in a show, you're gonna be great. But you have to hone that. It doesn't come from nowhere.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that I definitely want to chat about. That how to approach something. I brief people the same way every day. I get 30 minutes with a one-on-one call, and I've got 2, 3, 4 calls a day that I talk one-on-one with my clients through, and I'm briefing them pretty fast. So to me, or to others, it may sound like, oh, you're just saying the same shit over and over again. And same thing with what Brett's talking about. So no matter, I've heard this from musicians, I've heard it from stand-up comedians too. Even Jerry Seinfeld was talking to, what's that one guy that he was on Seinfeld with that got the other comedian, Michael or something like that, whatever his name is,
You turn
who played Kramer. So
Kramer.
if you remember, he years ago had a bad incident, and it ruined ruined him for a while, and put him into some depression and stuff like that. But Jerry was talking to him on an interview, and Jerry said, "Well, here's where you went wrong. You were playing in essence for yourself, not for them. So I know Brett's talking about playing for yourself. Now, playing for yourself at your own standard for the group. So keep this in mind. I want to say there's 2 sides to that coin. You're there to play your best and be your best because other people are there. That's their Super Bowl. Like I look back on I was born in 1980, and I look back on Guns N' Roses as being one of the biggest failures of opportunity in life. That how shitty it is, that how great of a band they were, and just one dude couldn't get his fucking head out of his ass still, and that's a shame. That's such a shame. They could have done so much more, and they ruined so many interactions with all kinds of stadiums and all that kind of stuff, and just all kinds of events, and even they were there when James Hetfield got burned, and they could have been a rock star and completely fucking done awesome shit and gone down in the graces of all the music gods out there, and they shit the bed right in front of everybody, and it was just like one dude. So that's what I'm saying is like your craft, you're doing it for you, but once you hone it to a certain degree, it's for them. It's for them. You have to play to that. Somebody talked about this on YouTube the other day, where you have to play so well the fundamentals, the basics. You have to be able to play so well that you can. It's not even practice anymore. It just is excellence. And I'm not that level of musician. So when I see somebody who can just rip and tear and fucking go up and down, I'm like, I watched a Tool band the other night down in Florida. We went to a show of theirs, Schism, if you've ever heard them. And it's fucking awesome, man. Just watching four dudes just rip it up in a small ass bar in Destin, Florida. And me knowing how, even if they're playing somebody else's music, they're playing very difficult music, very well. All just take a little drink. And if I drank and I tried to play, oh my God, I would be a hot fucking that was the best, man. But these guys have been on the road for 20 years and it showed. It showed. And everybody treated them as such. It's such a small group in the location. But they've been the bar that I was in, but they play stacked fucking houses and stadiums. They would go on tour with Tool. Like, you just never know what support. Like, your time to shine is your time to shine for yourself and the people around you, because that's all. Going back to something I tell my staff and my kids and my clients: do something good every day, and it will stack up behind you so that other people can look back on it. And that's what's really nice about social media, is that Brett can say, hey, go to my Instagram and take a look at what we've done and what we're doing. And you'll be able to see how he started small and then he started gaining momentum. And I hope that motivates you guys to go, you know what? I do have to show up every day. I do have to do my shit well every single day, and other people will appreciate it. And what you're able to do too is fend off dummies when it gets to that point. I talked to a client just the other day who completely, for some reason, had my phone number, had the ability to reach out to me, and he wasn't getting a hold of me at the right time, and then he wanted to blame me for it. And I'm like, dude, you've known where I like a gym. I'm a gym owner. I'm here. My staff are here. The lights are on. The gym is open. You're saying that you're blaming this on me. That's not fair. And he would put in, I'm sure we've all had arguments with people who a person will say something, well, Albert, you're only doing this because I'm threatening to talk shit about you online or sue you or whatever. Guys, go look at the giants out there on social media. Do you think Dan Bongino or fucking Tim Pool or who else am I thinking of? Fucking bald guy. Who am I thinking of? God damn it.
No idea.
Yeah, he has a podcast every day. He's the largest podcast in the world.
Oh, Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan. Here's what he says. Post it and forget about it. Post it and move on. When you're making $1 million, somebody's going to sue you for 10 million. When you're making 10 million, they're going to sue you for 100 million. That's just how life works. So prepare yourself for that. But all you can do is grow, grow, grow. That's why I go back to growth. Grow, grow, grow. Because then you figure out different ways of having a war chest. You have a war chest and you have the ability to hire, like Brett said, lawyers when it comes time to have lawyers, and to have accountants and CPAs and all that other kind of stuff. So I know Brett's going to get there, especially in the industry he's in, because you got to have all those different security elements to cover your own ass and make sure that you're building your company the right way. And that's what I help coach you guys through as well. Is if you're creating something, if you're getting your heart out there in the community, and you're getting going with your business, you have to get going before you get growing. If you start growing and you didn't set yourself up the right way with the right bank account, the right lawyers, and the right website designer, it'll kick you in the fucking teeth and it'll waste your fucking time.
Absolutely.
And I know Brett just jumped in because you can't help it. You can't help it.
To go back to the other thing you were saying about Guns N' Roses, if you've got someone on your team that you feel is dragging you down, get them off your team as fast as possible, because your success is dependent on the people that are around you. And if you are keeping people around that are stopping you from hitting your goals, get rid of them, because all you're doing is hurting yourself, and it's just going to be a bigger headache in the future. You just get rid of that person from your team and move on, because it doesn't need to be bigger than that. It can be just as simple as, you're not a good teammate right now, and I can't have that on me, and so I can't be a part of this. It's so easy to say that, but so many people are so bad at saying that. Just say the thing that needs to be said and move on.
It's very true. It's very true. I've done it multiple
Yeah.
times, and you're gonna have to do it multiple times. It never gets easier. It only gets harder, to be honest with you, because you start making more money, and you start making, you're more established. You got more wisdom. You know, you're more valuable to the clients that you're trying to help, and that 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 tension, it gets harder. And like they say, uh, bad news doesn't get better with time.
Sure doesn't.
And I mean, my clients, I'm a general contractor, and just like Brett is, you have to cut ties with other teams. It doesn't need to be exactly your staff too, but you're gonna have other teams out there, lawyers or marketers or whatever, and you have to be able. I say don't sign a contract to get started with somebody. Say, hey, I'm happy to sign a contract with you. Give me 3 months of working with you, and I'll pay you what you want, $2,000 a month to do marketing or whatever. And I'm happy to do more with you. And that's why I told a marketer that I've now worked with for over a year, who helps produce this podcast. I've came in with some of the greatest ideas to marketers, and marketing, just like anything, is such a big umbrella that there's so many people out there who are doing it horribly. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had people promise, oh yeah, I'm gonna get you all these views and I'm gonna get you all this stuff, and I sign a contract, and $15,000 later, and 3 months into a 1 year contract, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? This should have happened. I should have gotten clients like day fucking one. It should be on your website. Why isn't it on your website? Why isn't your shit on my website? Why isn't any of the shit that we agreed on? But every single month, I'm paying out to some asshole who's taking my money and just fucking running with it. And so I said, hey, John, my now guy out of Nashville, I said, hey man, I'm not signing a fucking contract. I will pay you every month. I'll pay you as soon as I get my invoice from you. No shit. I just did that the other day. As soon as I got it, boom, done. $2,500 to him, because he does stuff. He texted me today. We're doing some more stuff. I talked to him just today. Like, when people do well and do well for you, you'll do well together.
Yeah.
Don't worry about contracts. Just start moving forwards.
Yep.
Cover your ass to a certain degree. Have agreements, but like, just make it soft. Because I know I jumped into that. I think a lot of people do. You think, hey, I'm a business owner. This is what business owners do. Contracts, you can always, there's always a way for somebody to fucking, if they want to, like in the 80s, they would talk about Karate Kid sweeping the leg. If somebody wants to sweep your fucking leg and kick you out of prosperity, they can do it with or without a fucking contract. They have all kinds of ways. They can just dispute with the bank, and it's up to the bank to give this person money back out of your own account. And it's like, oh shit, that's a new lesson I didn't know I had to learn. So be prepared for those sorts of things. So
it's like, get on contracts with your clients, but try not to be a client on a contract. I think you want your clients, the people that are paying you, you want them to be on contract, but you don't want contracts when you're paying other people.
Exactly. And I like the way you put that. So yes, there is, like, me getting something done for someone versus someone getting something done for me. Yeah. Like, do whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like Brett's on the right track there of, like I say with my clients, I'm going to take you on a multiple year journey that's going to be multiple millions of your dollars in your pocket, and I charge a flat rate fee, and that flat rate fee needs to be paid as soon as possible. And I've got many payment options for you to get started with that. But my staff and I have worked hard in establishing ourselves over the past 5+ years to be the best in the world. So you need to pay me up front, and you need to pay me upfront, meaning it's not going to be a year from now or 10 years from now. It's going to be like, we're starting your payment plan now. So,
yep.
Because I'm
and then they get to see the results of that over time, right? And it's like,
and that's what's great. Like, thankfully, I've been working long enough to where I like, when somebody says, this rarely happens anymore, but if somebody were to say, Albert, I'm just not sure. You're only in your first 2 or 3 years of doing this, and I'm not really sure about this. Who else do you know that I can reach out to? And I'm like, oh man, well, John so and so and Daniel so and so, they would love to blow smoke up your ass about what I do. I said, I could blow smoke up your ass for another hour, but I think what you're looking for is somebody to tell you what I truly deliver. Here, let me get you over to him. And I introduce him, and all of them chat within the first day, and the guy comes on probably within a day or two, makes a payment, boom, done. So free marketing, people. Do well. And that's why I've got number 1 and number 2 The number one way people come to me is through direct people who know me. So like, hey, I worked with Brett. Brett knows me. And Brett, the guy will say, I'm John. Brett told me to come to you. That's number one. Number two is through social media, that I know Brett so well that I didn't talk to him, but I saw Albert, he likes you. So if he likes you, I like you. Let's do this. So those are the top two, easily top two. Everything else is nobody's ever come to me saying, hey, I like your shirt. Let me pay you 10 grand. Brett, have you ever heard that? You ever heard that? Hey,
Never,
I like
never.
that camo or dirt or sweat or what? What is that? I like
Fucking
your
never.
pay me $10,000. Nobody ever says that. So it's through relationships, people. So don't work hard, work smart. That's why I pay people above me to help me work smart, because I've worked the hard way and we're doing now more smart shit. So I know we're coming up on closing time with you, Brett. I know you got a hard stop. So let me turn it over to you. You got 15 minutes to tell the world anything and everything you got going on and all the things. I'm going to shut up and drink my tequila. Go ahead.
I think we've covered just about everything. I think the only thing that I'm working on another project that's coming up, but I'm working on the groundwork for that project right now, which is it'll be an event company of sorts where we do it's like a personal chef for a party, and with a photographer and a musician, and so we are curating this like really exclusive party for people who can afford to pay that kind of money, which they get a photo book at the end of the night of the musicians and themselves and the chef and the food, and it gets to be this like tangible thing they get at the end of it. But our goal is to have only 10 of those per year, and have them so exclusive and that people are willing to pay buku bucks to be a part of it.
If I can give you a little bit of stretch your mind, because I love when people can, and I tell everybody around me, be more creative than me, but also help me ground it. And what I mean by that is take my idea and make it better with your own gee whiz, but be grounded to where it fucking works. People have to get paid. People have to get paid. People have to get paid. Okay. So here's something I want to stretch you on. I was at Hunter Army Airfield for several years, and you know this. The Rangers are there, aviation communities there for the Army, and for the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard's there. So if you still have access to be able to get on base or on post, whatever the fuck they call it, then I mean you got several people who are always going to have something going on, and if you could be that go-to guy, because I know how it is being a captain and in the medevac community over there, that whenever there's a change of command or any kind of event, I mean, there's all kinds of events. So if you can come in and go, because man, here's what sucks about being a fucking captain sometimes. You're a platoon leader, you're a pilot, you're a husband, you're a father, you're a leader, you're blah, blah, blah. And then you get handed this fucking bullshit of like, hey, we've got our platoon ball or company ball or fucking whatever else, a battalion level ball. Captain Winks, you're the one that's going to do this. Motherfucker. So if I could go, hey, I've got government credit card and I can hire Brett Davis to take this fucking bullshit packet off of me, I'm gonna be like, hey man, oh yeah, Commander, I got it squared away. I got a guy. Everybody wants a guy. Everybody wants a guy. Brett could be that guy on base, and I think that's what a great thing to do is, folks. And I think Brett's talking about this too. Be good enough to where you get your bread and butter every single day from Savannah local. And that allows you to go higher and get higher paid clients every now and then. Because high paying clients will pay you because that's what they do. It comes out of a business or an entity or an organization. They're happy to do that because that's the fucking standard. The freebies and the gimmies down here, those are the people that are more needy. And they're most likely going to cause you the most fucking strain. They're the people who will pay you $400 and not show up and then try to sue you over $400 fucking dollars. They will eat your fucking time. But I will say you get to do some freebies every now and then. Like I don't charge widows to help widows with their money. So I can help a widow who's been through a shit ton. So I charge people here and here so I don't have to charge widows. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
And is a widow going to make my life awful? I hope not. She's been through enough, or he, whatever, widower has been through enough. So I hope not. But like, same thing with Brett or anybody else out there. Have your main bread and butter clients that allow you to get a few higher level clients and give you some other stretch opportunities, because that does add to your portfolio of what you've done, the good shit that you've done, and that gives you wisdom. You know that, hey, working with these high caliber clients, and they're great. They pay on time. They're respectful. They know that I'm a professional. They trust me. They're all the good things, and that's what you find out. That's why
One more thing too is
uh,
if and I learned this in photography when I was first starting out, and it's rung true. It's way easier to sell one $10,000 job than it is to sell 10 $1,000 jobs, because you got to do the same amount of work. It's just for each sale you got to do the same amount of work. So where should you focus your effort, on the big money or the little money? One's going to end up being a bigger headache in the end, and now you've got 10 clients that are all going to be that way, versus one client who might be a pain in the ass, but it's only one client, and so it's easier.
and I'll tell you this too. Think of a stretched menu. And what I mean by that is, if somebody is just getting out of the military and just getting started in something, $3,000 may be a lot to them, and that's okay. But there are other people out there who, maybe let's say to Brett, $3,000 is a lot to Brett right now. I want you as a business owner to get out of your head and know that it's not about you. It's about the value that you're delivering to them. So I talked to a guy, a ranger I was in Destin, Florida a couple weeks ago for spring break. And there's a ranger there who he's at 10% rated and only gets paid $100 and something a month from Uncle Sam, but he's a multi-millionaire. And he owns a property that should rent out for $25,000 a month. And he doesn't rent it out. He's like, no, I just want to travel back and forth from here in Florida to Texas doing what I'm doing. And he's only 10 years older than me. So he's got a lot of life left in him. And I've never had the chance to tell him this because we just didn't cross paths again. But I told him, I said, it's not just about the $5,000 a month that you qualify for. It's about many other things. One of those things is property taxes. Imagine what his property taxes are in Texas and in Florida. Well, I know I've got clients who are spending $30,000 a year in property taxes in California and in Florida. So what I'm saying is there are people out there who are not doing well, or maybe finishing a master's degree or something to do better for themselves and their family. So $3,000 sounds like a lot. That's okay. Make it stretch. Say, hey, pay me $3,000 and I'll help you do XYZ over the next course of this phase or whatever. And then, but say, hey, for somebody else, a millionaire, say, hey man, this is going to be 10, 20, 50, $100,000 for me to do this with you. And it's crazy, but they'll go, yeah, okay, that's cool. I mean, they'll do the math right there on the fucking phone with you. They're that smart. They'll do the math. I've had a client who goes, Albert, you need to charge me more than this. And I said, no, that's not what I'm doing, because that's my thing for this. This thing I don't charge more than that. Other things I do charge more for. So I charge a flat rate fee of $10,000 for this thing, but I charge a sliding scale range on the ongoing coaching and consulting that I do with my clients, and just helping them grow their businesses. And maybe it's hard for them at $3,000. Maybe it's easier for them at $10,000 or whatever it is. And that could be a month. It could be a year. But have something else. Like I go back to fitness. Hey, get fit with Albert, year 1. Okay, now stay fit with Albert, year 2. Create something to where you're creating a ongoing client. Because once a client knows you, likes you, trusts you, pays you, buys your shit, they're going to keep buying your shit next time and next time and next time as well. And it's proven positive. Anybody out there making big bucks will tell you that. And what's great about us veterans is we are only veterans, no veterans. Truthfully, only veterans, no veterans. We only get each other, and only veterans. We know what we've been through, but also we know what our challenges are and what our abilities are. Nobody else knows the shit. Being a helicopter pilot or fucking FO like Brett was, like nobody knows that shit like you guys. And those are small communities that you could be able to go like, hey brother, let's fucking do this. So I highly suggest that as you're growing your business, that you get to a point where you're partnering with other people. When you partner with other people, then you're creating that ongoing referral source of Brett knows whatever lawyers to help him do his shit. And Brett, lawyers are always looking for other referral sources. So they're definitely going to refer people to people. So yeah, just it's free fucking marketing, honestly, is what it's called. free marketing.
Yep.
So don't pay somebody for marketing when your work can speak for itself. Brett,
Absolutely.
fire away. What else you got going on?
That's it right now. Just that and some work and getting stuff done. So I'm gonna thanks for having me on the podcast, and I appreciate the conversation.
My pleasure, definitely. All right, brother. We'll definitely keep in touch, and I'll certainly love to interview you for my $5 book. So make sure you check out my website for that, or email me if you want to know, because I do interview people for my books to make sure that I'm getting the latest and greatest information and being able to share that with you guys. So if anybody out there is interested, Brett included, you can either go to my website or email me. My email is pretty much above my head here, albert@thefulfilledveteranproject.com. So that'll be in the links and stuff below, I'm sure. So, but I appreciate you being here today, Brett, and good luck out there. Keep posted on your journey. I see good things happen for you, man. And I need to go to Savannah here sometime to come see you. That's for sure.
Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot.
Hey, man, we appreciate you.